You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, here I am. James Morris here. It's Saturday morning. I thought I was supposed to be on 5 seconds ago, but we have this delay, so I can't tell anything. After 14 years of being on the radio, you figured I would start to learn how to do a radio show. But anyway, that's what this show is about. Believe it or not, it's where I help you on Saturday figure problems out on your car that you've been working on for sometimes weeks, maybe months, even years. You'd be surprised some of the stuff we get in. I get cars that come in that have been to other shops, and they're not going to be easy. I know they're not going to be easy. They've already got all the cream work. They've already done all the easy stuff. I get them where they don't run right, or they don't run, or they come in on a hook. And now from, time immemorial, I'm probably going to be married to this car, but I have to figure out what's wrong with it and fix it. And sometimes it's not that easy. I mean, you can have spark, you can have fuel, you can have everything, and it should run. And it runs, but it runs so poorly, you're going, what am I missing? I'm not that stupid. I know I'm not that stupid. Come on. So you look at wave patterns. You go, okay, here's a wave pattern on this one. Well, that's a good square wave pattern. Well, that one, it's not really good, but that looks okay. It should be acceptable to, make it run right. That shouldn't cause a problem. And then you go to the internet and you get resources and saying, okay, well, this is what it's supposed to look like. Well, sometimes the internet gives you, it doesn't give you the right information. Sometimes it gives you partial truths. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? But anyway, and that's what got me lost, because what I was doing, I said, I got a picture, it's showing how everything's lined up, but when I look at mine, mine's not lined up, so mine must be wrong. Well, checked it out, everything was right. So after I tore everything apart, checked it out, everything's lined up like it's supposed to, even though the internet showed me having lines directly on top of each other on the graph, and I'm going, wow, this is crazy. What am I missing? And then finally, after much soul searching and looking and thinking and going, you know what? I got nothing better to do. Let me change these parts that are actually on here that look like they're producing a good wave pattern. It should work, and see if it happens. Well, we changed those, quote, parts, both the only two parts in the circuit. And the odds of both of them being bad at the same time are astronomical. Really, astronomical. I mean, 1,000,000,000 to 1 that both these parts, car comes on a hook, both of these parts are going to be bad. And then we start doing investigating after we figure things out and going, okay, now that we got the cars running after spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, now we got it running, and now we see we got check engine light problems again, so we have to fix that. And we start looking at it, and we say, someone's worked on this car. Someone has put these parts on. Things have been done and messed up. And when you ask the customer about it, they swear on a stack of Bibles. No one's looked at this car. And then you start tearing things apart, and you see where people have had things apart, and things have been scratched, and you see junkyard, or I should say salvage yard numbers inscribed or painted on them. You go, oh, someone doesn't tell the truth. And so that's what's so hard about this business sometimes. I mean, hours that you don't get paid for. And speaking of hours you don't get paid for, I got Ron Hart. He works hours and hours. He doesn't get paid for either. And and that's what makes this free enterprise system of the fair market work so much better out there. You actually have to put a lot of sweat equity in your craft, don't you, Ron?
I think so.
You have your craft is not exactly something that anyone can do. I mean, aren't you a columnist? I mean, and that's how you make your living?
Actually, I'm an investor really for a living. Yeah, I do the column for fun, and it's become a business, but I do it mostly for fun.
Oh, you sound like me on repairing cars. No. Well, that's interesting. But your columns are very well written. They're very thought-provoking. And they seem to point out the 800-pound gorilla in the room. That's the thing. Thanks. And that's the thing that I've noticed about it. And you point out the 800-pound gorilla without really pointing at it. It's kind of like so obvious that people stumble over it. And sometimes after they read your articles, I have found out people still refuse to see it. They just...
Yeah. You pointed out, what I really do is just point my finger and laugh at it. You try to make humor in absurd situations, and what you try to do is just point out, why things are funny and what the logic goes into things are. And the last column, and a lot of papers edited it back pretty well, was about Barney Frank's marriage. He got married.
Yeah, it didn't seem to flow quite as smooth. I was wondering if they did some editing to it. I was curious about that. But
they edited it pretty hard. But I understand papers have. It's a touchy subject. God, guns, and gays, I always say the three
G's.
Subjects. Yeah, and it was also my high school prom theme, so I understand it well.
Wait, did you actually go to your high school prom?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I did.
there's a lot of people that didn't go to their high school prom for some reason. My wife, did you go to your high school prom? I didn't go to my high school prom, we've had, and neither did Dan the man on the board. You'd be surprised how many people out here that didn't go to high school prom. Even Doc Washburn, they had a second chance high school prom. And I think he was in the running for that a couple years ago because he said he never attended his high school prom. So I'm just curious. So you actually did that. That's wild.
Yeah, we were a pretty close group of people in a small town, so it seemed like the thing to do. We always were pretty compliant, whatever we were supposed to do at the time, and it was fun.
That's interesting. You said compliant. Now, can you kind of explain what what you see in your life right now versus what you were when you were in high school? I mean, and that's what everybody's life kind of is, but we don't like to see it sometimes.
It seemed like then I was compliant because what they had us do made sense. Today, I think I'm less compliant because the government's grown and what they're asking me to do doesn't make sense. So the results, I think I tend to be more defiant right now, especially when Obamacare is coming, things that we don't want to do. They're forcing us to do things we don't buy into. As a result, I think it's human nature to be a little bit rebellious.
Well, and our government was founded on a rebellious nature, Ron. You got to admit that. I mean,
right.
Our founding fathers would be labeled terrorists.
Exactly. Today they call them terrorists, and they've written a lot of these terrorist laws around the notion of someone who's overly, enthusiastic about the Constitution. They're trying to describe Timothy McVeigh and Tea Party members, trying to paint him in a corner, potentially to arrest him one day, and in terms of being defiant. I mean, this government in Washington, they want everyone to basically have allegiance only to the government. They want people to be on food stamps. Food stamps increased tremendously, up 70% in the last few years, from like 26 million people on food stamps to 46 million people on food stamps. And right now, one in seven Americans are on food stamps. Where in the 70s it was 1 in 50.
Now,
it's very alarming.
I was reading the other day where almost 50% of the American public is on some sort of government assistance. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. And it's starting to happen under Bush. I mean, it's not completely Obama's fault.
Please, when I point a finger, I'm not pointing. There's three more pointing back at me. But the Bush administration, we're not talking about. I think it even started back as early as Bush 1.
Right.
I mean, people say, "Oh, James, how can you say that?" Well, if you study history, you can see it. It's pretty obvious, but a lot of people refuse to go back. We have a short attention span. You know that, Ron.
Right.
We can't see the past, can't remember the past, and we don't even bother to look at the future. And so sometimes we kind of look at each other and go, well, what direction of life are we going on as a nation, as a republic? And it doesn't look very promising, I'm seeing out here.
Right.
And
we celebrate the 4th of July, about freedoms, and freedoms are diminishing in many ways, You got Joey Chestnut, the hot dog eating champion up in New York. He gobbled down 60 wieners up there, a record previously held, I think, by Elton John.
I know.
But he did that, and then he tried to wash it down with a 17-ounce cola, and then Bloomberg had him arrested, took him downtown for questioning.
I knew I was getting set up for a Bloomberg joke. I knew
there
you
your
got
freedoms
me
right there, huh?
Well, we in the 4th of July parade, my group I belong to, Bay County Citizens for Liberty, we were thinking about how we could show the people out here how we're losing our liberties, and we were thinking about doing pantomime skits where we had the Statue of Liberty and Uncle Sam marching, and then we had a TSA agent marching with us, waving at people, Homeland Security. And then when we'd stop to wait for things, to parades or whatever, we'd go out there and we'd see the TSA agent grabbing the Statue of Liberty and groping her and searching her and then putting and then her hitting him over the head with the Liberty torch and things like that show how we've lost and make fun of things, but. That was a little too risque, and my group voted it down, saying, "You know what? If we do that, we will alienate people." And I'm going, "Wow, I guess that's what's going to take. I guess because people right now are so asleep."
So you lose your freedoms very slowly. It's called creeping incrementalism, and you lose them just one thing over here, one thing over there. I mean, the Patriot Act, for example, much everybody's crying and wringing their hands, had to do it. Hillary Clinton, all the Democrats voted for it. All the Republicans voted for it. Anytime they all vote for something, it's usually bad, like wars in Iraq, and we're almost unanimous.
You're
it's
right.
scary. And it's also an emotional vote. They need to wait 6 months on any vote they ever make. It's like Rahm Emanuel said, though. You understand politics. Never let a good crisis go to waste. When you have a crisis and you can make a case for more government, they almost both sides do it.
Well, and I was talking to someone last night. I said, "What's the first rule of government?" And they said, "I don't know. The first rule of government is to protect government, to grow government. But that's the first rule. Government does not want to get smaller. Government feeds on itself.
Right now, they're advertising for food stamps on Hispanic-speaking soap operas. Right now, the Obama administration is advertising for people to sign up for food stamps, trying to grow the program. I mean, that's just incredible to me that they would do that. Probably illegals are on there in a big way. And in the last farm bill, they call it the farm bill, which is kind of funny. $970 billion farm bill, 78% of it were food stamps.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right. That's where the farm bill is, where the food stamp money comes from.
Right. It's just like Obama trying to get the obligation of the voters to vote for him by giving them food stamps. And it's just buying votes. It's illegal. I wish the Supreme Court would look at it. You don't advertise these things. You say you make it available. You don't advertise these things to people.
And Ron, am I wrong to say the Republicans are just as darn as bad? I mean, come on now. I mean, is there any difference between the Republicans and the Democrats? And I'm running for Bay County Republican office, and that's why I'm doing it, because I want to see things get better out here. God.
Yeah, there's a shirts and skins thing up in D.C. Not a lot of fundamental difference between the two of them. Republicans are a little bit better, but not enough for me. That's why I'm a libertarian.
Hey, that's why I'll be down in Tampa. Hey, thank you so much for calling, Ron. This is Ron Hart. We'll catch you in tomorrow's paper.
I'll be down there too, by the way.
I'll be down in Tampa. We'll see each other down there. All right, Ron Paul 2012. All right, we'll be right back.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.